the Labour Party really wants to kill your grandparents, and they're not hiding it in any way. The reason for this segment is that Britain is having a parliamentary debate still over the assisted suicide, assisted dying bill that was passed in the House of Commons and is now going through the House of Lords. Now, this was presented as a private member's bill. So it was presented as something that was outside of the agenda of the governing party, the Labour Party. In the British system, you get a lottery to decide which MPs can bring in their own bills to submit for consideration in the House of Commons. And somehow a lady by the name of Kim Leadbeater won that lottery. She is the right level of nobody and somebody. She's a backbencher, so not a frontbench politician, meaning that she's not in the cabinet. But she is quite famous because she is the sister of Joe Cox, who was an MP assassinated by a right-winger because of her role in helping bring in illegal migrants, refugees, asylum seekers.
And she was a Remainer.
Into Britain, and she was a Remainer. So she was assassinated. Obviously, we oppose political violence. But Kim became the sort of right person to submit a private member's bill. Throughout the parliamentary debate, the Labour Party said that it was not taking a side on the question of assisted dying or assisted suicide. Rather, the Labour Party left each of its members to decide on their own whether or not they would support this legislation. But then it turns out that actually they had planned to do this from the outset.
Oh, really?
That they had been planning to introduce assisted suicide from before the election, and they figured out that the best way to do it was through a private member's bill. So they didn't want to put it on their manifesto and say that they wanted to kill Granny. Instead, they left it to others to pretend to be presenting a private member's bill, when the reality was that, as a matter of fact, they had senior civil servants write the bill for them and present it to Parliament. They had discussed it in their own internal documents while they were in opposition, and decided that they couldn't put it on the manifesto. It has to be done in another way that would allow the government heavy influence over the debate. And so when the bill moved to the Lords, they started trying to create a constitutional crisis, because enough people in the House of Lords opposed the bill and submitted around 1,000 amendments to the bill to try to tighten it and to try to say this should be made into something much better if it's going to pass. And the Labour Party in the House of Lords has been dead set against any amendments. They want to pass the most lax bill ever, while pretending that it has the most safeguards, and we will discuss that in a second. But they lie like they breathe. They really have no conscience here. So it turns out that this is actually a government bill. And when this was revealed, there was another intervention.
This is a quick thing. Surely a private member's bill from an MP from the ruling government is a bit of a fraud on the face of it.
Yes.
Why would you need a private member's bill if your party was in government?
Well, you could still submit private members' bills.
I'm not saying you
if your
can't
party
do it,
was in
but
government. So some people had something about trophy hunting and whatnot that they wanted to. Like, it gives MPs a chance to submit bills for their own causes.
Sure.
That's intended to be part of the process. But here they've pretty much abused the process.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to emphasize.
Yes.
It's not like Keir Starmer is opposed to this.
Exactly.
This is completely on his agenda.
Exactly.
For economic reasons, probably.
But he lied about it being on his agenda.
Yeah.
That's the key point.
So did he say in the Labour manifesto he was against in his...
No, in the Labour manifesto they kept silent on it.
Okay.
But they went ahead and did it anyway, just like they did with the tax rises, just like they did with a bunch of things that weren't on the manifesto. And then they decided to sneak them in through all kinds of procedural tricks anyway. And that's what was done here. And here we see a bunch of lords. Now let me see if they have anything in common. Head of the Home Civil Service, Lord Turnbull, head of the Home Civil Service, Lord Butler,
It's the deep state.
head of the Home Civil Service, Lord MacDonald, permanent undersecretary and head of the diplomatic service, and on and on and on.
Yeah. So it's the deep state is what wants this.
So it's pretty much the establishment, the deep state, people who have been involved in the government of Britain as unelected officials. They've all intervened to say that the House of Lords must respect the primacy of the House of Commons, that it isn't optional, and it's the foundation of parliamentary legitimacy. Which leaves something.
Oh yeah, because people feel Parliament is just so damn legitimate these days.
Well, that's one part of the problem. But the other part of the problem is, why is there a House of Lords if it doesn't have a role to play and must simply nod at whatever the House of Commons says?
How does the House of Lords support the legitimacy of the House of Commons anyway? These are two separate moral distinctions. One is elected, one is unelected. Yeah,
exactly. Completely different institutions.
How can the Lords lend their legitimacy to the Commons?
Merely by nodding silently and agreeing to whatever the government wants to do.
I guess, yeah.
And this is really spectacular that the bill gets written by somebody from the civil service, specifically Elizabeth Gardiner. She hadn't do any drafting, and then somebody who I used to work with contacted me to see whether I would produce this bill.
Yeah.
So she's a first parliamentary council, again, part of the establishment, essentially.
Yeah.
And when Kim Leadbeater won...
Dame Elizabeth Anne Finlay Gardiner.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Kim Leadbeater won the right to submit a private member's bill, she had no idea what to do with it, or she was a patsy from the start, who knows. But then senior members of the establishment stepped in and wrote her bill for her,
right,
in line with what Labour was planning on doing while they were still in opposition, having omitted that they intended to do that from their manifesto. Now, on the constitutionality question, the left has been sort of going a bit on a trip. Unelected lords are blocking assisted dying. This is a democratic outrage, says Simon Jenkins of the Guardian. If ever a British institution needed assisted dying, it is the House of Lords. So the opening
they're all
line
going to qualify
here,
for it, so...
the opening line here is that if you don't give us what we want, we will kill the House of Lords.
We will mutilate the constitutional settlement of this country.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And this
Further
seems a
than we
bit
already have.
escalatory, if you ask me, and a little bit unnecessary, but this is very much what they're saying, that they are willing to gut the constitution of this country, the unwritten constitution of this country, in order to make sure that your doctor can ask your grandmother whether or not she'd like to commit suicide. That's the purpose behind it.
Yeah.
And this seems like a very strange hill to die on, but it is part of a broader Labour policy that at pretty much every step wants to get rid of the elderly and of the various constitutional settlements that have defined the country.
Yes.
So on the constitutionality, I mean, their entire argument really rests on two claims. One, the House of Commons said that it should pass, but that is why there is a House of Lords, to sort of decide whether or not the House of Commons gets its way. And in the settlement that is sort of established in Britain, on a private member's bill, the House of Lords are allowed to decide whether or not they want to actually approve a private member's bill. And so they looked at the constitutionality of it, and, you know...
I mean, this isn't coming from the government.
No.
So you can hardly say that this is a democratic mandate.
Exactly. So
this wasn't in their manifesto, and the government itself only got a third of the votes of the entire actual votes cast anyway, and a fifth of the actual potential electorate.
Exactly.
So don't talk to me about democratic legitimacy.
But it's our democracy. We must protect our democracy, you see. And the House of Lords' rebuttal to this is actually pretty strong.
Oh, yeah.
The Lords retains the formal power to reject a bill at second or third reading and to insist on amendments during ping-pong, which is the consideration of amendments by the two houses, even if this risks being a bill being lost. And the only exception to this is to policy that is actually in the manifesto of the winning party. So for pretty much everything else, if it's not in the manifesto, the House of Lords can block it, and it is within their right to do so.
Yeah.
And instead of accepting this, and accepting that, okay, if it's a government bill, the House of Lords has to back down,
sure,
that they are completely insisting that no, this time the popularity of it dictates that it must be accepted.
That's really weird, though. Why wouldn't they just put it forth as a government bill then?
Because they don't want to be associated with it. It's such a disgusting change. Exactly. It's such a disgusting change to the NHS.
Surely Keir Starmer's just given up on popularity at this point. He was on. Well, I saw a poll at 11% approval the other day.
Yeah.
Like, come on, he's obviously given up on popularity. He understands this will be the last Labour government that will ever be. Just ram it through, Keir. Just get it done.
Well,
you need to save the NHS. Think of the money that Granny is costing.
And that's really what it's all about. That's really what it's all about. And changing the demographics of the country.
Not just that, though. This is ideological as well. From the Liberal position, the idea to have your death forced upon you without your consent.
This is something that I wanted to get into a little bit. So let's just address the popularity. But when using the popularity argument, 60% say that they would be concerned about people pressured into dying. There are no safeguards here.
If we didn't have such a good example in Canada, perhaps this wouldn't be such a concern.
Exactly. Among supporters, 55% would change their mind if it turned out that somebody had been pressured to do it. And there are no real safeguards in this bill to somebody being pressured into dying.
You know, in the Netherlands, I think she was 28 or 32, something like that. A young woman was put to death because she was depressed.
Yes. In the Netherlands, in Belgium, in Canada, everywhere you look at assisted dying, you find that what actually happens is an endless expansion.
But the point being,
of who is eligible to be killed.
Hang on. The point being, though, how can someone with a mental health problem be considered to have given informed consent to be executed? Then they have a mental health problem.
They would still be found competent if they speak to the doctors and
if it's convenient for the system.
Convenient for the system, exactly.
Go on, Stelios.
No, I just wanted to say that whatever the idea behind it is and whatever the philosophy behind it is, it's ultimately an issue of the people who are going to be involved in decision making. And I wanted to ask something very similar to what you said, but it seems to me that this is one of those things that are incredibly easy to abuse.
Extremely so.
Especially when the incentive is there. It's like, well, it's going to save us money. Well, great, we need to save money.
Exactly. And it will
kill off.
They shouldn't promote it, and they shouldn't say, "Hey, let's look at the good things that will happen if you commit suicide. Think of how you're promoting the common good." That's not. It's crass.
But that's very much a part of it. So when these people were specifically asked whether or not this could happen just because people feel like an inconvenience, the defenders of the bill, specifically Lord Falconer, who is trying to sort of force it through the House of Lords, end up saying that, yes, if you feel like a burden, you should die. Or you should be allowed to die. And 48% of people who supported the bill said that they would rethink their position if someone chose assisted suicide because other care wasn't sufficiently available. And if you know anything about the state of palliative care in this country...
I was going to say, if you know anything about the NHS, you know that nothing's readily available anyway, so...
Exactly.
You may as well just pop it.
So the incentive here is, how do we reduce the NHS waiting list? Well, let's just kill old people, vulnerable people, disabled people. And...
What they're going to do, fight back?
Exactly. So they've said that you could end up dying if you have learning difficulties or eating disorders. They're willing to sort of send you to go. People will die if they are poor. If in your mind you're influenced by your circumstances, because you are poor, you should not be barred from having an assisted death.
I don't mean to laugh at this, right? But the thing is, you could basically frame all of this from the position of the most hardcore eugenicist Nazi.
Yes.
Like, no, we need to get rid of the poor, the disabled, the elderly. You know, what we want is the master race. It feels very eugenic.
Yes.
In the nature of what they're proposing.
Because that's the nature of progressivism.
I guess it is.
But only against Europeans.
That's true.
So eugenics for Europeans, everybody else gets endless welfare. Kim Ledbetter had acknowledged that if the care costs are too expensive, then they should be allowed to have assisted suicide.
Oh, Jesus.
If they feel like a burden, it's a legitimate reason to request assisted suicide.
She wants a lot of people dead, doesn't she?
These are things that they've said. These are not things that are being made up. They are being questioned in Parliament or by interviewers or what have you.
So poor Timmy, who's got a broken leg, should we kill him? Well, he is disabled. Yes. He's a burden on the NHS.
And so pretty much every disabled people's charity opposes the bill. I don't think that there should be 350 disabled people's charities funded by the taxpayer, but come on. That doesn't mean kill them all. One reason is my body is not working in the way that it should. I'm 45. My body is not working.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, tell me about it, Kim.
Like,
but please don't just put me to death.
Exactly.
Because my back's aching a little bit.
Exactly.
Bit of arthritis in the fingers. Sorry, that's it.
It's difficult.
Oh, Jesus.
But not impossible if someone has an eating disorder to end up dying. And so...
we just had a comment.
Yeah,
we can also solve the hunger crisis at the same time.
Imagine how many problems it solves if we just start killing all the elderly and disabled. It's mad.
There was an amendment in the House of Commons to exempt those who are substantially motivated by housing issues, depression, or being unable to access the services.
Oh, there was one of these in Canada.
Assisted dying.
I was going to be made homeless, so he had the state kill him.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now we're killing the homeless.
Doctors can't be prevented from raising assisted suicide with a patient. So imagine you're battling cancer and you're trying to find the strength that you need in order to survive it, and you have no idea whether or not you're going to survive it, but there's a chance that you would. And your doctor says, well, we can treat you and chemo will be painful, or we can just put you down.
Jesus Christ.
What is it? Hold on.
Evil. They kind of ask it in some cases, irrespective of the act.
Say again?
They kind of ask it in several cases, irrespective of the act.
Well, that's evil. But what does it do to your confidence in your doctors? What trust do you have in somebody who would, maybe I can treat you, maybe I can kill you? What would you prefer?
I mean, what's easier for the doctor?
And what's easier for the doctor? I mean, there's a question of incentives here.
Yeah, just put you down. Way easier for the doctor.
And the argument is that they say that there is a 6-month prognosis. You have to have a prognosis that says you're going to die in 6 months, but these are always practically wrong.
Yep.
And for anybody above 70...
And even then, okay, well, the doctor will be like, you got 6 months.
Exactly.
You got 6 months. Oh, suddenly lots of people are only got 6 months to live.
Exactly. And you could see how this becomes quickly fraudulent with people being written into wills and getting inheritances. And it's just genuinely sick. And then they said that it was an answer to pain, but then Falconer himself, the guy who's trying to ram it through, well, obviously they do, and he says that it isn't about pain.
Oh, well, okay, don't worry about that then.
And this is important because the Times article by Jardine Gardiner makes the same point.
Is this about pain and suffering, or is it about control?
Very often it is about control. It is very, very frequently not about the intensity of the pain.
Control of what?
Your own destiny.
Yes. So it's the liberal desire to be the one who makes the decision for everything.
Before I get to that, the Royal College of Psychiatrists says we cannot support the bill. The Royal College of Physicians, not in line with good clinical practice.
Murdering elderly and disabled aren't actually in line with our practices.
Exactly. Biggest non-profit care provider for the elderly. Risks to older, vulnerable people are substantial. We're against this. Association of Social Workers. The safeguards are not enough. A former NHS CEO. There are evident and substantial risks. Like, it's a crap bill.
Yeah.
and they're willing to trigger a constitutional crisis over it. And the only argument that they have is that this is about choice and control. The issue is that the choice and control only go in one way. As in, I want to have enough control to know that my children are not exposed to drugs or to pornography or to various bad behavior.
Don't need that kind of control.
That is not allowed. No. I want enough control not to have a doctor ask me whether or not I want to be killed. That is not allowed. I want enough control to have some kind of stability in my life. That is not allowed. So the choice
Same with the NHS money, though.
Exactly.
That's mandatory.
Exactly. So the choice always goes one way, which is expanding the choice to criminals and abusers and limiting your option to live a normal life. I want to have a choice of not having to send my wife to work. I want my wife to take care of our children. That choice is not allowed. Pretty much every choice that leads you to build a decent and prosperous and fulfilling life is denied. But the choice to destroy your life or even to end it, that is the choice that's sacred. So you should be allowed to choose to do drugs. You should be allowed to choose suicide. You should be allowed to choose pornography. You should be allowed to choose all kinds of destructive things. But choices that make your life better? No. We will set up society to maximize choice for criminals and degenerates, but not for decent people. That's the philosophy of it.
Yeah.
And they're at the same time that they're doing this, they're trying to find another excuse to destroy the House of Lords, having already decided to get rid of all of the hereditary peers.
They've always hated the House of Lords. They've always hated it because it's the least liberal institution that we have.
Exactly. And to sort of top it off, what Labour is also doing is putting enough new peers in the House of Lords to make sure that that they would never lose a vote in the House of Lords from around 2027.
Yeah.
So they're not satisfied with gutting the Constitution. They also want to continue rigging the game, all in the name of more liberalism and more choice to do evil, not choice to do good or to live well. And it's sick. It's
mad,
deadly mindset that only seeks destruction.
Yes. It's leveling. That's what it is.
It's leveling to the sort of level of gorillas.
Sure, but the point is, it's the leveling down to the lowest common denominator.
Exactly.
Which is what has always been the shadow that's lurked underneath liberalism.
Yes.
I'm reading a book on George Washington at the moment, actually.
Right.
And one of the reasons that he became the first president of America is because the experiment in self-government for the states was producing a lot of radical Democrats who took on the sort of leveling characteristics that were seen during the English Civil War. That the powers that be, I mean, Washington being an aristocrat himself was like, well, hang on, we can't have that.
Yes.
I'm in favor.
I think there is a theory that said that one of the problems that the framers of the constitutions had with the Articles of Confederacy was that it left too much democracy, radical democracy to the states.
Yep.
So I disagree with you on saying that this isn't a sort of liberal institution because it's constitutionalism.
Well, no, it's a natural, congenital part of liberalism that lurks in the background like a shadow.
Well, but
why can't we have democracy everywhere if it's so good there?
Yes,
and that's a question that liberals have a bad answer for.
No, they don't have a bad answer because they don't want democracy everywhere. They want constitutional government because they want natural. Because they say that first come rights and then come governments to secure these rights, and legitimate governments have to secure these rights, and these rights are not subject to democratic vote.
But the rights precede the institution, right? That's the argument. Well, the rights of children precede the institution of the family then.
Yeah.
No, they don't. How could they? The child doesn't precede the family.
Sense?
So
in what sense?
Well, the argument that the liberal will make for the emancipation of children from their own parents will be founded in the concept that the rights precede the children, precede the family, right? As in the children...
The family has a biological association.
They will argue that the children have intrinsic rights that essentially precede their own birth, but that doesn't make any sense. How can you have a right when you don't even exist, right? And this is the problem.
When you begin to exist, you're a person, and there are some things.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
you don't have to persuade me, But this is what these people will argue, is they will take the principles that liberalism used to destroy the hereditary governments.
They'll do framing and misrepresentation.
I'm not going to let you just shy away from this. Those same arguments can be used for any other hereditary institution.
Exactly.
Well, from my reading of the issue when it comes to the family, it's like saying that, well, let's look at Locke's first treatise.
But just to be clear, I don't even disagree with you, right?
Okay.
I think that the English settlement in politics is a good one, and that's where liberalism is extracted from, right? Obviously, that's a good one.
Me too. Yeah.
But the problem is, if you structure the argument against heredity rather than against what is bad for people, as in people being oppressed, then what you have is an argument that can be applied to any other hereditary institution, like a family. And actually, that's not good. And so it is liberalism that caused that problem, even if the thing that it was originally conceived to be promoting is a good thing in and of itself. Right? And that's
the good thing didn't need liberalism to be good.
That's true. But the point being, what I'm saying is, I think what your position is, it's not persuasive to liberals to stop. That's the thing.
To leftists, no.
But they're like an extreme version of liberalism.
But liberals are the original leftists.
But of course they are.
No, you have more overlaps with them than I do.
No, literally, this is where the concept of left and right come from. It's from the radical liberals.
So, going at the comments now for a second.
It's from the radical Republicans.
Yeah, but they
in
are
the French
liberals.
Revolution. No, the liberals were in the center, the classical ones.
I don't agree. Anyway, there's another discussion for another time. We're running out of time. Let's go.
If you want to read more about this assisted suicide bill, you really should be following Dan Hitchens, who has been absolutely excellent at explaining the problems with it. He has an A to Z guide, pretty much explaining that from anorexia to feeling like a burden to not having enough care to any kind of question relating to the bill, there are no safeguards. And they can kill anybody at will, and you can be encouraged by people around you to go and seek an assisted suicide.
That's mad.
And that is deeply immoral, even outside of a Christian framework. And the way that these guys have been playing the game is accusing everybody who opposes assisted suicide of being a religious fanatic. And I just want to say
that's the weakest argument.
That I take that as a compliment to religious fanatics for having opposed something this obviously grotesque. There is no way to go through this assisted suicide thing without it ending up being on a slippery slope. And part of the slippery slope ends up having what you have in Canada, which is something like 95% of all assisted suicides being given to white people, and the numbers going from a few hundred to 15,000 in just a decade, and climbing to the extent that it's now 5% of all deaths in Canada.
It's the fourth leading cause of death in Canada.
Yes.
The government murdering you.
Exactly. So this is evil. And if you have anybody you know in the House of Lords, you should be writing to them and telling them to oppose this atrocity of a bill. It's just completely wrong and completely unnecessary. And there you have it.
If you would like to watch the full uncut version that is also uncensored, head on over to lotuseaters.com to find out more.